tape right over the nips. You got a baseball?
Yeah, man.
Were you a big baseball fan growing up, or did you play? Or
not at all? Not at all. Just using crossball.
Just got a random baseball in my condo.
That's it.
First things first. Can we get an MTV Crib style tour of your place?
Oh, you don't want to look at it right now. I just finished class, so.
You just finished class. I will say it's probably it's a lot nicer than it's a lot more cleaned up than Aaron's place. That's for sure.
Yeah, he also doesn't have two children that just destroy everything every 2 seconds.
That's about it, boys.
Is this your new singles crib?
This is it. This is I actually got the sign here. Hope everybody knows what it. Can you read it?
Welcome to
the sex castle.
That's what's up.
So for everybody who didn't see that, that is welcome to the sex castle from
That's
Jacob.
what they see all the time. So when I set up my Zoom class like this, they can all see it. I'm just kidding. I censor it.
Very nice. All right. So let's get this rolling. So here we go. Jacob Danque, what's up, man?
Not much, guys. How's it going?
What's up, bud?
Not much.
Excellent. It's nice to finally get a face to everybody since the pandemic locked us all down inside of our houses. And it's been nice that we've been able to keep in touch and talk to everybody still. How you been since this whole thing?
Hey, I'm just trying to do my thing on the back end here. So just been training every day, trying to keep myself fit, trying to motivate others to stay fit as well. As you guys can see over social media, I've been doing a lot of online platform stuff, and I feel like we don't know what the normal is, or we don't know what it is coming up. So I thought that it was a good idea for myself to get a step in the door with things right away. And I think really it being very convenient for somebody just to open up their MacBook or even just to turn on their phone and me just being there and having just somebody to talk to, or even just like going through a workout, I think it works for people. Some people it doesn't work for, right? So it's not for everybody, but again, it is a growing business and I'm trying to make use of it. So that's what I've been doing. Other than that, I've been just like doing my best to stay and connect with my family. I don't know if you guys saw, but I'm going to be an uncle soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we have another one coming in the family. Other than that, like just doing day-to-day stuff. Not much. How about you guys?
You're just living the dream, baby. Just living the dream.
And living the dream. I'm missing everything though. Like everything, like especially the gym. Man, it's a lot different.
I think. What are you missing the most?
I think it's just like the aspect of being around a training environment. You know what I mean? Like you're home, you're in the comfort of your own home, but at the same time, like you kind of want to relax at home, but like that feeling of just like blasting just music and getting a workout in with like your buds or whatever it is. It's just like that atmosphere is what I'm really itching for. In regards to the workout, like the workouts, you can always regress or do whatever you got to do, but it's just being around people is what I'm missing. So even that, I think like going back to that's going to be kind of different for everybody. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. What you even mentioned, like, because you've run a lot of group classes at that gym that we're not speaking of, and you've had to do like basically a complete 180. And like, what was that experience for you? Like, what's kind of like you even mentioned already, like some things that you like doing, like in person, like blasted music, having 30 people working out. How is it different doing like a class on Zoom or doing a class online versus like a class in person? What are some things that you like? What are some things you don't like?
It's actually a good question because like it's obviously a little bit of trial and error, almost just like training itself when you're training a person in person. You gotta have to find what the client really needs or what my group really needs, right? So at first it was almost just like this. I'm just talking to you guys and I'm just kind of going over exercises. Maybe I'll just bust out like a lunge or show a nice little squat pattern or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like people really want to be motivated, right? And that's where us coaches really come in. So they really want to see me sweating just as much as they do. They want me to stay on top of their stuff. Like me and Aaron were just talking about just like, even if it's just a weekly update on just like understanding, how are you? Like, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you want to do? And just keeping people engaged. I think that's the biggest difference between, because you're not getting that one-on-one attention. Like somebody could come to my group fitness class in person and I could be like, oh, hey, what's up? But you don't really get that on a Zoom call as much, right? So you obviously have your small little conversations, but obviously being that person. But other than that, really it's just trial and error on most things. But yeah, I usually work out with my classes all the time now. And that's usually what gets them going too. Blast the music as always. And always giving like consistent energy and obviously giving them coaches cues and doing those small little things.
Nice. So when you look at like the people like obviously who don't know you, like who is Jacob? Like where did Jacob really start to get into his background of training? Like who are you, man?
You really want to know me, Aaron Dell? No, I'm kidding. Who am I? I mean, like,
this is the first date. First date, baby.
You guys know that. I'm a Filipino boy. No, I'm just kidding. No, like I'm a regular guy. Like I love spending time with family. Like I said, I love spending time with people, whether that's coworkers, friends, family. Again, just like being around people. But I love trying like different things out, whether that's training, whether that's like going for a hike or whatever it is. I just like to keep myself busy. I'm not a homebody guy. I really like being around. Again, I like being around people. I base my energy off people as well. So other than that, my training is myself. It's like I do, as you guys know, I like to do a little bit of everything. I do bodybuilding. I like to do CrossFit. That goes with functional training, Olympic lifting. Yeah, I love music. Just recently loved.
I like stuff. I like stuff.
I've been trying out different tequilas lately. That's been a hobby of mine, but I've been
tequilas.
Love tequila.
You mentioned that you lift. That makes 2 out of 3 people on this call that lift. You can guess who the third one is.
I already know who it is.
Oh boy, I lift. It's Mike who's not lifting lately.
I've actually been really good. I've actually been getting a lot of workouts in. I've been actually doing a lot of dry land training as well.
Yeah.
But this podcast is not about me, right, Aaron?
It's not. It's about Jacob. So, question, Jacob, like how did you get started into training? Like what kind of motivated you? This is like a path that you wanted to start following.
Yeah. When I was younger, I always knew I wanted to be some sort of coach. But I think when I was younger, I know I'm young, but when I was younger, I really wanted to work more or less with athletes. I grew up a lot playing like a high level basketball, playing sports as well. So I thought that would be a really easy transition. Had no idea what coaching was all about until I really got into a program of health, wellness, and fitness. That's really where it kick-started for me. I'll be honest, in my first years, I was kind of lost because I was doing nutrition, I was doing a little bit of wellness, I was doing a little bit of health. So I was still underneath that umbrella, but I wasn't too sure. Am I going towards training athletes? Am I going towards this? So it was more general. I would say I kind of slacked off in my first couple of years on doing training. I was kind of caught up with all the university stuff, girls and parties and whatever it is, but that led me to the wrong path. But then when I really got into it was, not even gonna lie, was CrossFit. Back to what I was telling you guys about, like I was a high level athlete like growing up. So getting that aspect of feeling like an athlete again and doing athletic training really opened my eyes. And that was what I really wanted to do. So I did my last year and I did my, my placement at CrossFit Opus, and I was doing my training there. I was training other people. It really lit my eyes up when I trained my first client, and it was just a regular, as you guys know, like a regular, just 50-year-old guy, kind of just want to be more functional and kind of just walk up and down the stairs without being out of breath, right? So it's completely different than when you're training an athlete that wants to be so good at their sport to a person who just wants to be a lot better in their life. So I felt like I was getting a lot more because I was growing more with training that kind of dynamic and that general population. But yeah, I did CrossFit. And then from there I went to a big box gym, which was, I'm not even going to lie, it opened my eyes even more because I'm going from a big box gym where there's no machines at all to Good Life Fitness. And and during my interview, they're just like, oh, how do you do like a seated cable row? At this point, I was probably like one year into my training, and I had no idea how to use a machine. So I had to obviously develop all of that. But again, that's like adding more tools to my toolbox, like what Aaron says. But again, like, what's his name? Nathan. You guys know Nathan Carter. If you're listening to this, shout out to you, because I've been running with it. But yeah, shout out to Nate. He was telling me to become like a Walmart of all trainers. You guys probably heard that from Nate. And just like getting different aspects of things, because that's what people want. So why go through 5 different people when somebody can specialize in all of that? Obviously, we specialize in certain different things, but I can always go to you guys if you guys want jiu-jitsu. But again, like, I have information and education, all of that. So after that, I got a lot of certification through Good Life. I freelanced a little bit, so I tried out my own business, and that wasn't really going well for me. My name wasn't really out there. People didn't really know who I was. So I went back to a smaller box gym, which was Habitual. That was my spot for about 4-6 months. It's just a small little boutique gym here in Mississauga. And then I crossed over, met you guys, and I went over to Lifetime. I think that's where really my training really kicked off, though, because I learned a lot. Like, when I went in there, I was probably 4 years ago? I was still a young buck.
Young buck.
But I think that's what helped me grow through this whole fitness and background and training, was that I was always one of the youngest, and I was always towards the back end and learning from you guys, or learning from other trainers that would bring their specialties inside that gym. Me being the youngest and me obviously sponging all the information that I can made me who I am today, and really giving other people different sort of information through different aspects of training, nutrition, stress, sleep, whatever it is. But always like constantly growing is what what I'm trying to get.
Your evolution game.
You know what I'm looking for. But yeah, that's what my background was, and like how I really came to, well, now I'm doing Zoom. So that's pretty much how I got to here.
I wanted to ask you, because how old were you when you had I guess you could say your first like personal training gig? Like, how old were you?
First personal training gig. So I did placement when I was at Mohawk College. So my first real client, I wasn't getting paid for him, but it was obviously an experience for me. But I had my first client, I would say, at 19. Okay.
Now, like, starting very young, have you found it maybe sometimes being a challenge, maybe connecting to clients that are maybe a little bit older? So like, for example, like, you're a 19-year-old kid, there's this 40-year-old guy, and he's like, hey, I want to get in shape, but this guy's just out of high school. Like, have you found that to be like a challenge, or like, how did you deal with that?
Dude, at first that's all I was thinking about. I'm like, why does somebody want to know information from me when they can get it from this guy? But at the same time, I was thinking they're coming to me for a reason, whether that is I have the educational background, whether that is they have a positive vibe for myself, whether that is they want to train just like how I do. That's kind of what I was going with it. But I was definitely, when I was first getting into training, there's obviously aspects and there's like things that will go through your mind and be like, oh, I'm kind of second guessing on training this person or whatever it is, you know what I mean? But obviously with experience and everything, it's kind of second nature. Like, I don't even think about it anymore. I get even more comfortable now training somebody that is at that general population, because that's what I'm so used to.
Yeah.
Nice. So when you obviously, like, being at Walmart, that you were saying, like, getting all these different types of skills to kind of build your pocketbook of training, yeah. Like, how are you motivating? Like, what's the methodology that you follow to get people, connected to yourself and like get them results and get them to their goals?
I think it just goes back to just understanding what the client needs, right? Like, if you're not satisfying their needs and you're not really giving them what they want, they're not going to stay with you. It's almost just like going to Starbucks and getting the completely wrong order. Like, you're not going to go back. You won't go to that same location. But understanding what not the client, I guess, the individual in your class, what they really need. And just because like you're coming into my class doesn't mean that you're enjoying it. Like, really, remember we were talking about just like following up and just asking like, what can I do to make this experience a little bit better? And that's another thing, is just like motivation comes with experience as well. So just giving them the experience of them wanting to always kind of come back into your class or whatever it is, or coming back because maybe it's not because of the class, but maybe it's because of the energy that you're giving them, or maybe it's the music that you're giving them. But obviously they're there for a reason. Maybe it's the group. But there's different ways from it. But I think it all starts from the coach, because obviously you are kind of leading them to their path of whatever their fitness needs are.
So why did you leave BJJ after one class?
Because he learned everything.
I know. I wasn't very subtle about it. I just kind of asked it.
I am that good of a teacher and an instructor and a professor.
Actually, it was
I've
Mike's
imparted
class,
all
anyways.
of my knowledge onto Jacob.
Yep, you just covered it right there. I did one class. I feel like I can go against Anderson Silva right now. Throw him at me.
Come at me, bro.
Let's go. Let's set it up.
Are we talking in a MMA match or in a CrossFit competition?
No. I'm talking straight jiu-jitsu. I did one class and I know what to do.
You might be able to out-clean them, but I don't know if you can outstrike them. Oh, crap.
I really hope that this is not just a jiu-jitsu podcast, because
no.
I am like,
No.
I love watching it, don't get me wrong, and I appreciate what you guys do, but I cannot do it. It is not my jam.
It's one of those things that you honestly have to practice. Like, we're joking about it, but it's not something you're going to learn in one class.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you may be able to get, like, let's say, like, maybe a bit better squat technique, but it's in one class. But for example, it's not your squat will never be perfect just by, throwing a bar on your back, squatting once. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I
good.
Agree with that.
You were mentioning before what are some of the things athletic that you've done? You mentioned CrossFit, and has that been an influence on, I know there's a lot of things that are positive about CrossFit and a lot of negatives. We'll get into a lot of that more in a minute, but what were some of the positive things that you've picked up from that CrossFit experience? Because I think the big thing is that CrossFit preaches is building a community. And in a lot of your group classes, the one thing I've noticed just from watching, and I'm training people, and you have a big community of people. Is that something that you've picked up and learned from CrossFit, or is that something that you've learned from osmosis? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything, but I feel more comfortable being in a group environment. I like to have a lot more conversations rather than just one, but still give that one-on-one attention if they really do need it. But yeah, I'm all about community, and I'm all about like building groups so that we can all get better at the same time. But at the same time, it's not easy to build a group of people who have the same kind of mindset. You have to work with personalities. You have to work with, again, there's so much aspects that come into play, but again, like it all starts from the coach. I think me being or playing sports and obviously having that CrossFit background, that's kind of where it started for me though. But yeah, especially building up a community, it's difficult. It's not easy. Like you can't just like walk up to a person and be like, oh, just join my group fitness class. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like that. Sometimes it actually can be like that, but it all starts from the coach on actually being inviting, welcoming, and
friendly, innovative, all that stuff.
Oh my God, I just sound like them, eh?
Functional, friendly, Aaron, do you know the saying?
I do.
Or have you blocked it out from all the trauma that has happened?
It's still there. Still there. One thing, especially like some people don't know, so even though with your community building and all that kind of stuff, you're a pretty accomplished powerlifting coach, especially with the athletes that you've worked with. Kind of like, tell us how you really got into like powerlifting and some of the athletes that you've actually worked with and their kind of successes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Putting my coaching out there. I like that. Yeah, powerlifting started for me when I was training at Good Life Fitness. Before that, again, I told you I was doing like strictly CrossFit. I was doing competitions as well for CrossFit, but then this was like my first like big box gym. So I'm like working like 12 hours. I have back-to-back clients, and I'm like, this CrossFit thing is probably not ideal. This training is not ideal for me. The ceilings were low. It's like the environment wasn't CrossFit environment. So again, just like what I was saying before, I like trying new things. So I heard about powerlifting, and like everybody in this gym was kind of doing powerlifting as well. So I'm like, these guys are lifting some crazy ass weight. I'm going to do the same thing. Yet this little CrossFitter could only squat about 225 at the time. So, but I took about a year, and I was just like, I want to learn what powerlifting is all about. So I took the Darby course on the the powerlifting 101 kind of stuff. It teaches you how to program, especially going or peak your clients on going into a competition, getting their mindset ready, because all this obviously takes into play when you're trying to compete or getting your clients to compete. But after I got more information about it, I saw potential in other people, right? So again, it's just understanding what the client needs. So I've had people that kind of reached out to me that really want to strength train. Or in regards to Sylvia is a good example. I'll kind of go.
Shout out to her, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Sylvia, my girl Syl. But if I see potential in somebody, I'm gonna lead them to the right path. And Sylvia, like her stuff was, I already saw that she was strong in our alpha classes, so I wanted to build off of that. We took about a 6 to 8 month block of just strictly strength training. Ramped her up into her first competition, all golds, all my athletes. But yeah, I just built it off from there, and then kept going with it. Ended up where we are now. Just not only training Sylvia, but other strength athletes as well that are trying to get up on that platform too.
Awesome. So what was the last competition you guys did? How she plays? Come on.
Oh yeah. Okay, so she we went to what was it? We went to
the peg. Peg. We went out to the peg.
Competed against the best at her weight class, which is 72 kilos, and her age group. She ended up being first in Canada for powerlifting.
Nice.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. But yeah, she holds that title now. She beat the squat record. I believe she squatted 363 in competition. The deadlift one was the one that we really wanted to get, which was 415. We got 417 off the floor, but there was a minor hitch through the movement. That is obviously a red light. So got it off the ground, but no bueno. Could have got 2 records, but hey, I'll take the gold. I'll take best in Canada and best squat.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty good story. I think that's another conversation though. I have to make that like a movie or something.
Make that a movie.
Live in a movie. I like it.
Tito Jacob starring.
That's it.
Yeah.
So as I know, because you're like this massive CrossFit fan, you've obviously seen the blunder from Greg Grassman over the whole CrossFit and the whole scenario that was happening. Tell me your thoughts about that. Do you think that, how do you feel about CrossFit after something like that? And even like all the other controversial things that he's done, especially with that CrossFit community, changing the way that they do competitions, the way they change. And he's always been outspoken. So kind of like give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're looking to go to the games, go to the games. But if you're gonna, you have to be like a sicko to be training at such high level. But I pay homage to those guys. Those guys are training like 3 times a day, and
absolutely. I think regardless of what you say about CrossFit and your opinions on like their programming, like the guys that go to those games, they're the guys and gals that both go to those games are freak athletes.
And the mind, like the programming that they have is, I don't understand how it works. Like I think me and Jay were talking. Shout out to Jay. And we're just like programming. We're sitting down and we're programming. And I'm like, what do you think Rich, or we were talking about some sort of CrossFit athlete. He's like, they're probably just writing stuff down as they go. And I'm just like, how? We're here like writing programs for like, a side note for people who are listening, like it takes a while for us coaches to program. So these guys are like, I'm just like, what squat variation am I going to be doing next? You know what I mean? Like they have so much experience and they're around so much high level people that when it comes to functional fitness, I feel like the programming that they have is exceptional. And that's something that I kind of want to get into as well. But what we're talking on this, don't just think that I'm a straight CrossFitter, okay? Love the sport. Love it.
Mike? Did we lose Mike or what?
No, I'm here. What's up?
Oh, okay. No, I thought you were going to ask a question.
I'm trying to be an active listener, Aaron.
At the end of the
day,
I believe
listen, kid.
No matter how much CrossFit gets bashed on, no matter how much you want to talk down about it, I believe it's coming from people who don't understand or have the education to even do CrossFit. Like, I want you to think that like CrossFit isn't just like movements. It's not just like doing a sexy movement on a barbell or looking like I'm doing like a crazy muscle up. Like, that's not what CrossFit is all about. It's a training regimen, right? Like, it's a training method as well that obviously works to a certain degree, like if you're being coached well. I think it all starts with the coach and understanding what you're doing. But if you have no idea what you're going to be doing, or if you just see these kind of like social media posts, then obviously you're going to kind of bash on it. But again, if you haven't really tried it out, I don't really suggest you do that. So
I think you mentioned it perfectly, is because it's hard to, again, bash one thing, and that's what happens. People bash what they see, and they don't actually look at the whole picture, right? You have to understand, and again, it's all about having good coaches to onboard you into those particular things properly. And hey, does this stuff work for you, right? So if your goal is to do X, is that going to be an appropriate movement to do you, right? I have my own debate on CrossFit movements just based on like, okay, is it functional? Should you be doing it anyways? Like, there's somebody to tell me that, oh, well, the snatch is the most functional based movement ever. I'd be like, when have you ever taken a baby and threw him up in the air like that?
All the time, Aaron. All the time.
That's a dad question for you guys.
But that's what I'm saying.
All
like,
the
it's
time.
not a functional based thing. That's my opinion. That's not necessarily saying I'm right or I'm wrong. That's just an opinion. And I think because people say stuff, they're like, oh, fuck that guy. He said it, and now I hate his guts because he gave me the wrong opinion. Yeah. You have a dog?
Yeah, I didn't even know you had a dog.
Random question. Yes, I do have a dog. This is one we have kidnapped.
Oh, you're just babysitting?
Yeah, just babysitting. You know,
okay.
That's just hanging out.
I had no idea you had a dog.
But no, absolutely. I think
who would have thought I would have been trusted with a dog?
Yeah, exactly.
Jacob, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying how like it's just understanding the training methodology behind it, because again, like, everybody has their opinion. You could say what you want. It's not going to affect me, and it's not going to affect my training. It's not going to stop me from doing what I do on a day-to-day basis. But before you kind of talk shit about something, you should do Fran or Murph.
I think what it comes down to is, I think you can learn something from all different aspects of training. And that's what I've learned too. Like, I've taken aspects of CrossFit and I've used that with clients. I've used aspects of bodybuilding and I've used that with clients. I've used aspects of powerlifting and I've used that with clients. I think you're even saying before, that's, rounding out your toolkit and having different tools, because, different clients may need different things. What I guess I want to ask you, because, there's kind of like what we're talking about, the generalist and specialist debate. So, like, for example, like when we're talking about Nathan before, he said, okay, like, what's the first word that comes to, let's say, your mind when you think about Aaron? And it's bald. I mean, jiu-jitsu. But
really? Fucking guys.
But hold on.
I miss you guys.
So if we were going to describe Jacob, what is the first word that would come to your mind?
Transformation coach.
Transformation. Okay.
And that's a very general thing. Like that's just, if you're thinking about it, I'm not just talking about like, maybe transformation, you're thinking, oh, you know what? It's just this person losing X amount of weight, right? Like, I want to be able to transform more than that. Because as you guys know, like, it's not just the training part of it. It's the mental side of things. It's actually training that to be having a better lifestyle. But yeah, transformation coach for the most part.
Awesome. What's been like your greatest success? You don't have to mention names, but like what's been like the biggest achievements like to date for you that kind of like sits with you and you're like, okay, that, you know what, I'm really proud of that moment.
Well, obviously, like there's different accolades that I can always like pull out, and like this person getting gold or this person losing the amount of weight. But honestly, like as cheesy as this sounds, like it's honestly my following, and like the 35 or like however many people I have in my class, it's those guys every single day that are looking to change what they want to do in just an hour out of their day. It really pushes me to either just wake up and just like not really realize about anything. But that's really what kind of like pushes me. But yeah, there's obviously like medals and stuff, but it's not all about that. Like obviously you can get a good like little high five, you lose 5 pounds here, but again, like everybody's success is why I kind of drive to do what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get
know what you mean.
So what's next for you then? What's like the next step, the mission that you're trying to drive in?
The mission and vision, Jacob. The mission and vision.
I mean, you want my mission statement?
No.
I'm kidding. I think what's next is always on my mind. And that's just not like about what's going on right now with this whole COVID stuff. Is like, I'm always looking to, I think I learned that from like having you guys around, always having that growth mindset. You're making X amount this month, I want you to make whatever it is. I think it's always on my mind, and just like starting new things. So that's what I always do with my group as well, is that I always have like challenges for them, or them expecting a little bit more than last month. But what's next for me is I just want to keep growing. What I've been doing right now is keeping me busy. I'm liking what I'm doing right now. I'm really hoping that we're able to be back inside of gyms as well, but growing this platform as much as I can right now. Because again, I think me and Aaron were talking about it, like we really don't know what the normal is. Like, who knows if there's even going to be group fitness small group training classes like the way that we were doing it before, or who knows if like one-on-one training is going to be exactly how it was before, doing it from a distance, giving them not the cues that they're used to. But again, what's next is just keep on growing what I have right now. So, you know, stay tuned. You'll see my name out there a little bit more. You'll see some stuff.
Right. So what's a handle that people can actually, so they can go and follow you, just so we can hook it up? So, hey, what is it?
We'll hook it up. We'll shout out your gram.
My Instagram is @transformwithj. You can find me there. Shoot me a message anytime you need to. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. This
millions and millions of followers. You're blowing up.
Oh yeah.
We're going to blow you up, buddy. We're going to blow you up.
What's next?
Whoa, Aaron. Whoa.
My question.
Sorry, say that again. I love it. Jacob's got a question.
Jacob has questions.
I have questions.
We're getting interviewed. I was not expecting
this.
Yeah.
Little role play.
But seriously, what is like the next step of what's the end goal of Choking Hazard?
Aaron, would you like to field that question? I just thought Aaron started a podcast because he was bored at home in his basement.
I'm listening to it, so it's working.
All right.
I'll be honest.
One of our 7 followers.
No, we got more than that. We have a lot more followers than that.
Hey, it's all about. You'll have 14 by next week.
I think one of the biggest things is like it's just something that I've always kind of wanted to do, right? And I believe in, if you like doing something, you should put time and energy into it and make it part of your daily life and see where it takes you from there, right? Where I wanted to create a platform that, one, I could talk about jiu-jitsu with my friends and things that I enjoy, especially on how jiu-jitsu's changed my life or changed other individuals' life, but also fitness has also been a really big part of my life as well.
For sure.
Right? That's where my job has been. And how do I bridge the gap between and creating a bigger community rather than just, oh, well, it's just jiu-jitsu guys here, fitness guys over here, Pilates guys, or whatever, right? This is such a bigger community as far as movement patterns, and that's really where the life needs to go. We need to get moving more. We need to be more social. We need to bridge these gaps and all these different silos and bring them together in a bigger playing field. So the easiest way I could figure out how to do that in the comfort of my own home was through an online podcast group. And it was just taking it step by step and building it bit by bit. And I would like to take it from being in the basement eventually to an awesome studio spot and build from there. Right.
Dope. So don't forget who one of your first interview was.
Oh, we'll definitely be having you back on again. But I think
definitely.
A lot of my vision, I think, is similar to what Aaron was mentioning before. It's when you think like, okay, I even asked Aaron this. It's like, okay, like would a podcast work if it's usually you're like, you want to narrow it down to one like niche, you can say. It's like, okay, it's just about fitness or it's just about Pilates or it's just about jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. But I think there's a lot of similarities between each one, and it's all fitness and health related. And I think instead of keeping each one separate, it's like, why not encompass everything together? And like Aaron talks about community, and you've been a big example of where you work in, you're building a community, whether even at the time where you're thinking about it or not, where you're building it. But I think that's kind of like the overall, I think the mission and vision of Choking Hazard 2020 is.
Yeah, that's great though. That's good.
I have a question for Aaron actually. When the year turns to 2021, are we going to have to change the name from Choking Hazard 2020 to 2021, or is it still going to be 2020?
I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I'm trying to get out of my basement.
You had it. Let's just try to get out of like 10 episodes first, and then we'll go from there.
We're on track for at least 15, 20 episodes, so I'm not worried.
Oh, dude, that's actually a lot.
So, like, we got good content. Like, so we've actually had some really good guests on, and we're dropping one tomorrow, which is Matty Isaac, who a competitor in the GTA. He's an awesome guy. We had one of our good friends, Matt Stewart, on. He's a Toronto police defense training officer. We had a great conversation with him last week, all about defense tactics and all that kind of stuff, especially with more relating into Toronto police services and obviously what's going on in the city now. We got another one with your professor, Mike Dan, on.
Dan Maroney will be on. Yeah. We'll be recording that one, I believe, on Friday.
Yeah. So we've had some really good interest. I got a couple people lined up too. So we're just taking it step by step, but we're gonna keep building it, and that's how you start, right? You gotta take the steps and start building from there. And the idea is to build a community, like no different than what you've done. And dude, like I don't want to burst our bubble or anything like that, but I'm gonna say, like, we've hit 3 different countries already. We're on 3 different continents, which is pretty awesome for the amount of only done 3 episodes. So it's pretty cool, man. Like
crazy
step by step.
It's that, and that's what I was like noticing, especially like because now we're in COVID and us marketing is a lot different. So it's mostly all through social media. So just like understanding like when to post, or even just understanding what population that you're trying to get is going to be a specific time as well. So all the algorithms that come with like social media is so interesting that I had no idea about. I would suggest you guys kind of look into it if you haven't already.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So everything's a lot more connected now. So
for sure,
what I've learned in this process is, it's let's say I'm working at like a big box gym and I'm training a client, and I go, oh, hey, like maybe I'm only working with them there, but then based on this process and you being at home, somebody and I've seen this even with one of our previous guests, Pat, he's training somebody in Germany right now, and he's doing like a lot of different jiu-jitsu movements with them. And so the world, I think, is a lot more connected now more than ever. If that sounds weird, it took a pandemic for that to happen, but you realize that a lot more now when it comes to, fitness and everything, that, people are a lot more closer than they think they are. Even if somebody is in another continent, you can still be trained.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like the biggest message I was trying to tell everybody is, like, don't, just because like the gym is closed doesn't mean that you stop kind of moving. Like, just goes back to the more of like what kind of training you really want, right? Like, people really liked like F45, or like they like the 9-round stuff because of the convenience that it has, right? So now it's even more convenient that you just have it on your fingertips, and all you really have to do is just throw on some clothes and turn on your screen on, you know what I mean? So yeah, that it's just how we're getting connected nowadays. It's crazy that it's happened through COVID.
It is interesting. I think, like, how do you, and let me ask you this, but because obviously there's a lot of people still out of work right now. People still have the time to have like those day type classes and all that kind of stuff. How do you think that's going to affect, like, when because even like the province is starting to open up slowly, bit by bit, right? Do you think that's like going to be sustainable, or do you think you're going to have to kind of change the way that you're kind of doing things right now, obviously, to adjust with everything that's happening?
Again, like, it all comes with adjustments, but at the same time, you have to think that these people are also kind of scared going to a place that is going to have any sort of risks. And walking outside your doors, you're already going to put yourself at risk. So I've already had a bunch of people who came out to me and already said that, like, they would rather be training at home for the meantime. But again, like, we don't know what our normal is going back to. We don't even have a regular life going back. Like, it's not going to be, you know what I mean? So I think it's just, for me right now, is just preparing and just understanding where I'm at right now is what I could do for now. You know what I mean? So whether that is, I'm going to be doing this, I'm definitely going to be doing this for the long term, no matter what, because people are enjoying this. And again, it's in the comfort of their own home.
Absolutely. But I think before we wrap up, do you have any sponsors, anybody to shout out?
No, but I do have I do quarantine boot camps every month. But if there's anybody that is interested, I do online boot camps. I do that from Monday to Friday at 12 o'clock. I run a free one, but this one is actually going to be, I'm going to donate not myself, DJ Jason Chuck, and Mariella. You guys know Mariella. She's awesome. We decided to make this one a kind of a donation kind of thing. So a part of our proceeds are going to be going towards Black Lives Matter.
Nice.
That event is going to be on the 29th of, we're in June now. So that is happening on the 24th of June.
Okay.
These events are pretty big too. Our last one we did it over Twitch, so it was kind of like a streaming kind of thing, but our next one's going to be over Zoom. That one we had around like 250 viewers.
Cool. On Twitch?
On Twitch, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they send you a report back. When it's on Zoom, you can obviously see everybody who's there, but they usually send you a summary. And we had almost like 250 views on that one. So again, I'm looking just to grow each month, especially with those quarantine boot camps and like partnering up with my DJ. My whole thing behind those kind of boot camps, especially those ones, like they're an hour and a half, but it's kind of just give them the same experience in their own comfort of their own home, just like the way that we would do it. Having the music, giving them all the energy that they need. But yeah, I usually run that at the end of the month. That's going to be on the 24th of June.
How'd you do with the music? Send us a link. Send us a link for sure. We'll I'll make sure that we get this podcast out before the what day you say? June 24th?
June 24th, yeah.
Okay, we'll definitely get this podcast out before then, so that way it drops and people can know about it. How do you link up like the music and all that kind of stuff? Do you just like, hey, here's the track, listen to it, or like he streams it in?
That was kind of confusing at first, and that's kind of why we used Twitch. But we found a way on Zoom to do it. Because you know how on Zoom it's almost just like if I'm talking, you can only hear my audio. So if there's a DJ in the background, you're not going to hear their audio as much. So we found a way on Zoom to do it. So it's going to be almost, I don't know if you guys checked out the last one, but I pretty much, we were working out, like I was working out in front of like the DJ booth, and you can hear music in the back. So it's pretty dope.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. Well, Jacob, like I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come on today. We do appreciate everything that you've kind of done for the community, just getting out there, helping all the people that you've helped. I'm excited to see a lot more stories that you're starting to bring out, man. Like your stream has been awesome. I really enjoy it. Oh, there was Kat. I saw Kat. So, really appreciate everything you've done. All the best to you in the future. Hope to see you soon in the flesh, getting back to reality eventually. But yeah.
Before you guys leave, I appreciate you guys for having me on and giving me a platform to kind of talk about what I kind of do. So, and for people to understand a little bit more information about me. So, thank you guys for letting me be on the Choke and Hazard podcast here. I'm excited.
Thank you for coming on.